guess what happens to a child who lives in a home where they're parented harshly, where they're constantly punished even when they've made a mistake, where they're treated with a lack of compassion, where their big emotions, their big feelings are criticized, invalidated, shamed, or ignored, where they're exposed to violence like beating, whether to themselves or to somebody else. What happens is that their brain continually sends signals telling them that they are unsafe, that they need to be ready, that they need to be on guard, that they need to remain alert for danger. It creates anxiety in that child. They become preoccupied with safety and survival, and their amygdala is constantly in overdrive, ready to protect them. It's like they're constantly in a state where they're ready for war. All hands are on deck, and so they have difficulty focusing on anything else. Not learning, not making friends, not enjoying their environment, nothing that's higher functioning is a priority.
Up as a child, I was considered, I think, a good child because I wasn't really interested in going out and playing with others and things like that. And I was the type of a child where if my parents left me at home, they're going to find me there. If I was playing, then it's kids that actually came into my house to play with me. And it's weird that that was considered normal. And when my brother came into the picture, he went out there and played, and then he was considered troublesome. But he was just he was being a normal kid. So I just want to add on how I think it's true what they're saying here because I've been on survival mode my whole freaking life. I cannot even remember being normal, I would say. And it's funny because when I started to learn about these things, it's when my life actually started to get better. When I started working as a nurse, I went through the training, it was hard and all these things. And then when I started working, I was diagnosed with depression, and it was weird for me because I'm like, what do you mean depression? Because my life is now better. I had relatives around me, people that come from my father's side of the family, people I thought at that time I could relate to because I saw myself in them a lot. And a whole lot of things that I grew up seeing as weird and I would see them and I would feel normal. And I was working Dinemaliam, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm diagnosed with depression. I'm like, how? And then when I saw a therapist, she told me of how I'm in survival mode. I don't really know how to enjoy life, and all I know is all what my brain knows is how to survive. And now I have nothing to survive. Like my life is actually good. Now my brain is actually struggling. It doesn't know what to do. And I didn't continue with therapy. I took medication, made me feel better. So I didn't continue with therapy. I knew I needed it at the back of my mind, but I also knew I was going to beat this thing. It's not gonna take over my life or whatever. And it wasn't. I know people, when they think of depression, they think suicidal. They think, oh, you overthink things, or you think you sit and think and feel sorry for yourself. I don't know about that. Part of it might be true, but my case was different. My symptoms were a bit not the same as the ones that people think of and know of, because I remember the first signs were that I used to sleep a lot. I would sleep the whole day and the whole night, and then the following day people always found me sleeping and be like, but how do you do? Even my cousins I was staying with, but how are you always sleeping? And then I remember at work, I wasn't social. People would, when there's no patients, they would sit in a group and chat, and I would just grab a chair and sit in a cubicle alone, and I was fine, and I thought that was normal. And people around me, they most probably thought I was stuck up or something like that. And then it got worse. I actually decided to go and see my doctor. When now I started, it felt like my brain was not functioning normal. Like I couldn't reason, I couldn't act as fast as I would think of something and I know exactly what I need to do, but I would just stand there and not do it. And I wasn't grabbing the context of things. So I started thinking maybe I'm going crazy. Then I went and saw my doctor, who's a very good doctor. Actually, I'm blessed to have her in my life. So she listened to me and and told me, "You're probably depressed." She's not a psychologist, just a general practitioner. And she started me on medication, and I'm so blessed to have her as my GP as well, because she did instill me the fact that I still need to do therapy, because the medication is just going to help the symptoms, but I still need to figure out the why and go deep and dig on that and resolve those issues, which I didn't do at the time. I wasn't ready, because at the same time therapy doesn't really work very well if you're not open to it in a way. But then I did start seeing a therapist who did try to make me see those things, that I'm on survival mode. She even said, even as I walked into her office, she could see the way I was breathing, how I'm just breathing for survival, and I'm not taking in deep breaths and enjoying and actually breathing. I'm just like there. It's up here in my chest. And she used to make me do these exercises of having to breathe using my stomach muscles, and it was so difficult and it was so weird for me, because I could see her do it, and the way I was struggling to do it, I was like, shouldn't that be easy? But it wasn't for me. And then that's when I got introduced into meditation as well. I tried it. I don't know how I stopped doing all those things, because they were really being helpful. I think the fact that the medication sorted out the symptoms, it made me feel like I'm fine. So I don't know if I really needed the therapy side of things. But anyway, a few years later down the line, here I am now, no longer on medication, but I'm back. I'm hoping to be back on therapy. I'm back meditating, which is helping a lot. Yeah, a whole lot of things are starting to make a whole lot of sense. It's mind-blowing how we go through life and we think we're okay, but we're not. And the scariest thing that I've noticed is how we can easily I don't want to say teach, but transfer this sort of emotional dysfunction to our children. It's hectic, especially for us, my 80s. I'm going to talk to you, because I see a lot of us, we were raised to be strong women, which is, I don't know, I don't believe in that word anymore, because I see a whole lot of us strong, my 80s. We are raising a whole lot of kids who are going through a whole lot of emotional issues. The highest number of people I see who are going through severe depression are born from ama 80s who regard themselves as strong people. And it makes me wonder, because if we are strong and doing so well in life, then why are our children? It's been a question for a long time in my mind, but since I started my healing journey, it has opened my eyes to how this myth of us being strong is emotionally destroying our children. I'm going to be the first parent to sit here and accept it in public. I'm not shaming myself or anyone, but I would love people to be open to this and see it as something to learn from. Just open your eyes, my 80s. Just open your heart and realize how damaging being strong is, or being regarded as strong is. It's not being strong. It's just a whole lot of upakisha, packing izinto that are damaging inside of you and continuing with life like they don't affect you, whereas they do. And I don't know how we think our brain is supposed to process all of that, but we seem to think we're doing fine. But we are not. We are unleashing, we are taking out these feelings, which is our partners, which is our children. And it needs to stop. We need to make it stop.